if you're sitting in a wrong position and you want to take a couple of minutes or 5 minutes or so and just turn your chair around, please make sure you do that. I'm very animated if anybody in here has ever seen me speak. First of all, I want to find out if there's anybody in the room I student taught at Sumner High School. 1971. You were in kindergarten? You were born. This was the community that I would drive from Fayette. I'm a peacock. And I am so proud to be a peacock. Hometown is Niagara Falls, New York. I'll give you a little background, very, very little. Hometown is Niagara Falls, New York. My story is incredible from the standpoint of where I came from, Niagara Falls, New York. Population about 250,000 people. And in the summertime, about 1 million, because it was the honeymoon capital of the world. And a couple of my buddies, what we enjoyed doing is sitting on bus benches, because people would always drive up, you know, they have no idea where the falls is. I hate to say this, but we would send them absolutely the opposite direction. But I had fun doing it. You know, I wouldn't do it now because I'm a little bit better guy. But I did have fun doing it. There was only one public high school in Niagara Falls. There were 3 Catholic schools, but one public high school in Niagara Falls. 4,000 students. 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. 4,000 kids. My graduating class was so big, probably around 1,700. It was so big, A through M on one night, and the rest of the alphabet on the next night. I know this is going to be shocking to you, but I was extremely popular. I had the ability to talk to an awful lot of people, even at a young age. And I didn't know half the kids in the senior class. And I was senior class president. And I had a lot of nice duties that went along with being the senior class president. The teachers knew me so well because I had a little side business where I would wax cars, and I basically waxed almost all the teachers' cars. That my noon job was to go to the driver's ed. I shouldn't say this. Go to the driver's ed, get the driver's ed car, go to one of the entrances, and the teachers that needed to get to the bank or they needed to run an errand, and I would drive them around during the lunch hour and take care of the teachers. So, needless to say, I passed all of my classes with flying colors. But getting back to 4,000 students, basically you pick one sport. I was very, very fortunate at a young age to be extremely talented in baseball. Baseball is my passion. Baseball is my love, and it will never change. Never change. I love the game. People say, how in the world can you watch baseball? It's so boring. Well, for those of you that get the opportunity to really understand baseball, there's probably like 25 different games that go on every pitch, depending on how the team is taught or some things of that nature. If you go to a game or double A game or triple A game or major league game, and you get to see the actual togetherness of the team functioning together, it's an amazing game to watch. But I won't bore you with that stuff. I was tired of the big city life. I was tired of 4,000 kids. My baseball coach at that time in high school knew a baseball coach in Iowa that he said, I'd like to make a call on your behalf because I know you have the ability to play college basketball, or excuse me, college baseball, and I know that you just don't like the big city atmosphere. I said, would you do that for me? I said, I'd really appreciate it. And lo and behold, he calls him, he said, we'd love to have Tony. Absolutely. And literally, the following week, an admissions counselor came from Fayette and put on a presentation at our high school. And I literally was sold on pictures out of a catalog. I never visited campus. I've recruited now 6 years in Omaha at Creighton University and then 12 years at Northern Iowa. I will not allow a kid to ever make a decision without being on campus. I mean, I saw pictures of the Boulder River, and I To make a long story short, I wanted to go to Upper Iowa. I had the opportunity to play baseball. It was a perfect fit that I thought was pretty cool. I was going to play college baseball. Well, you have to understand, never went on campus, never, we didn't have where you could go and cell phones and all that stuff. When I went to school, probably a couple of you were probably pretty similar. We had these big, huge concrete blocks. We'd have to chisel our assignments and everything, and you carry them on your shoulder and all that stuff. I mean, that was hard. That was really hard. My shoulders are so big right now. But anyway, we're leaving for school. It's must have been late August. We're leaving for school. My dad's way of traveling is you drive about maybe 75 or 100 miles in a day. You leave at 6 in the morning. You do the math, even though it was, like 45 and 50 mile an hour speed limits. And then you find the best Holiday Inn you could possibly find and then enjoy the rest of the day. So about a week later, we get to Cedar Rapids. And, my mom's dealing with this okay, and my dad that's the way he is. About 100 miles, 75. I think it's time we just find a place to stay. Well, anyway, we ended up in Cedar Rapids, and you know the drill, and you know what I'm going to talk about. We head out 151, if I'm thinking right, then we run into 150. There's 12-foot cornrows on this side, and 12-foot cornrows on this side. I have to switch glasses. I had to put on my sunglasses because Tony had some tears in his eye. And he's literally saying, what in the world did I just get myself into? Then we pull into Fayette. Oh my goodness gracious. I mean, we go from, I can't even think of it, State Street, whatever it is. We go 4 blocks and we're out of town. 4 blocks and we're out of town. But those of you that remember the old days in Fayette, there was a kind of either a tavern or a restaurant on every corner when you went through Fayette. So, and I never knew that, people just told me that. That's what that happened. But anyway, my dad always would tell the story every single day. I would call home every day. He'd show that my dad was vice president of Union Carbide. Union Carbide was one of the largest chemical corporations in the country. All the big DuPonts and Kimberly-Clark and everything else was all out east and everything like that. My dad was a very, very brilliant man. And I would beg him, will you please put some money in my checking account so I can get somebody to drive me to Waterloo, I can get on Ozark Airlines, and I can come home. He'll be okay. He'll be all right. And then he was just, again, he got tired of listening to me because I'm serious. I called every night. And he said, let's do this. He said, you come home for Thanksgiving, we'll sit at the kitchen table. You got to understand, everything in an Italian family is done over food, mostly pasta, and remember, our hands are all over the place. And I said, Dad, I'm okay with that. I'm all right with that. Like I said, he's a brilliant man. A couple days before break, he said, did you realize that you will get out of school, you just have Thursday, Thanksgiving, Friday, the weekend, Saturday, you'll have to fly back on Sunday. I just don't think there's enough time for us to make a decision like that based on really the rest of your life. I think you should stay there till Christmas. I knew, but he knew my mentality, he knew my ability to meet friends, and to this day, I still communicate with all those kids that helped me, those students that helped me, their parents that helped me get acclimated to seriously. And I've been almost in every state now in the United States. One of the best environments is the state of Iowa. And when you stop and think about it, and I finally got the opportunity to realize how good we have it here. And I know we always look on the other side of the fence, and sometimes the grass is a little bit greener, but like my dad would always say, if you just fertilize your grass, mow it every once in a while, you don't have to go anywhere. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous. And seriously, you'll be the envy of a lot of people. And it's true, it really is true. And when I found out the wholesomeness and the kindness and the relationships that people have in the state of Iowa with each other. You know, I don't know if anybody here has ever lived on the East Coast, and I'm, you know, specifically talking about New York. And when they talk about if the guy down the street got a new color TV, guess what? We got a new TV. If somebody got a new car 2 blocks down and they were in your family, guess what? In about a week or so, we're getting a new car. And they're not very friendly. I mean, it took me a long time to get used to this. Go, what in the world? I figured it out. I'm telling you right now, I drive a Cadillac and I drive a Hummer. I have 2 cars, and I do this a lot. And it's so much fun. Really, really, it's so much fun. So, but I owe so much to Northeast Iowa. I had the opportunity to get an extremely good base of becoming an individual and really learning a lot about life through Upper Iowa. And I had some great professors. If there are people in here that went to Upper Iowa back in their early 70s or in that range, I had a professor, and I'm not going to get into it, but I had a professor named Frank Jones, and my minor was philosophy and logic. Now you really know why I coached women's basketball for 38 years. It's the only way to survive. No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. So don't be getting, you know what I mean. But I had great people that gave me a foundation. And then, as most of you know, I still think the most legendary girls basketball coach was a few miles away. I know you threw tomatoes at him or whatever the case was every once in a while. But I had the opportunity for 2 years to work under Gene Clinton. And you talk about learning the game, learning how to deal with people, how to teach. How to teach what you want to get taught. And I'll just make reference to this right now. I don't want you to stand up, and I don't want you to point out, or whatever the case is. If you're a coach, I always said this. I never wanted to be called a coach. I'm being very honest with you. I love when somebody called me a teacher. I loved having the opportunity to teach. I would have 50 practices to go to. And if I only had 1 game, if I even had 0 games, I was happy. Because I loved to teach. The opportunity you have as a teacher / coach, okay. But the opportunity that you have in regards to what you deal with every day, it's priceless. It's really priceless. And having the opportunity to take young people, and this is what motivated me for a long time in teaching and coaching. What motivated me the most was you got some that weren't real good. And I know in my coaching days, I coached the 6-on-6 game, which was a great game for Iowa. It was a great game for the Iowa girls. I was just had a conversation with one of my former players. I still communicate with kids, and all my players got me on Facebook. So if you do go on Facebook, yes, you would see me. But all my players got me on Facebook because that's how they wanted to communicate. I'm still communicating with kids that I was a student assistant at Fayette, which would be 40-some years ago. I still communicate with those kids. They call me, they text me. I am in the 21st century. I didn't even bring my phone, but I am in the 21st century. I can't do anything with it because it's a smartphone. I can't do anything with it. But at least I have it. I got it. I had it. But I was fortunate enough to be around great people. Or when I left West Central Maine, I had again, the opportunity to be at Montezuma. For those of you that remember girls basketball back in the day, you're talking about the 3 top teams. Sorry, hope I'm not offending anybody. Minneapolis, Montezuma, and West Central Maine. And I had the opportunity to work for Gene I followed Carol Rugland, and I worked with Carol and Bud McClure every summer at camps. And it was, I mean, we would wait till about 9 or 10 o'clock in the summer when we were working camps, and then we would leave there and go to like a restaurant or an establishment, and we'd take these brown bottles, and they would kind of be players. And I'm sitting with Gene Klink, Carol Rugland, and Bud McClure. If you know the game, those are the three legends in girls 6-on-6 basketball. And Tony would sit right there, not say a word, broke, but he would find ways to buy these three guys a brown bottle and let them diagram plays and just listen, and listen, and listen, and then learn philosophy. Learn how you teach something. Learn how you teach to block out. Learn how to defend the screen and roll. Learn how to do what you need to do to be successful. And each one of them not only were great teachers, but they also understood the philosophic part of teaching and coaching. And you are in a situation now in the 21st century where you have so much available to you. You have so many things, and coaches, you're amazing. You're absolutely amazing. And you have to deal with so many different things. Like I said, when I coached, they basically just played basketball. Okay? We didn't let them date. Okay? We didn't let them have a car. We didn't let them have a job. They couldn't go to prom. They couldn't have their first date until they were seniors. I mean, those were all little things that we know. I'm teasing. That's not what we did. But it was a lot different then. We absolutely didn't have this. We absolutely didn't have this. There's a lot of things that change. It makes your job harder. And it's amazing what you have the ability to do. So I really tip my hats to you, coaches, in regards to what you do and the ability that you do. Thank you very, very much. Booster clubs. In this day right now, there's no way you can even think about having a successful program, whether it's academics, music, speech, and I understand the national speech teacher is in here today. Is that right? Where is she? National, is that right? Where are you? Right, did she leave?
FCCLA.
FCCLA. Where is she gone? Wow. Oh, there she is? Very good. Congrats. And hopefully, it doesn't make any difference. In today's world, you can't get things done without people that are going to support you in so many different ways. Not just financially, because we know that is important, but support, resources, the ability to get help when you need help. You guys are amazing in regards to what you do for this school, in this school district. That's priceless. And you know, I talk a lot to different groups, and we talk about the theory of giving back, the theory of paying it forward, the opportunity that we have in life to make a difference in someone's life. And think about that. And this is a little bit that bothers me in our society right now. We take too many things for granted. You got to understand, boom, gone. I know some of you either do know it or you don't know it. I have a zipper on my chest. I have a zipper on my chest. It's not a real zipper. But it sure looks like one when I look in the mirror. And every time I look in the mirror, I think about a second chance. Because it didn't have to be. Did not have to be that way. You know, I thought I was invincible. How in the world can a college coach works out all the time, works out with the kids, eats horrible, but still works out a lot and is in pretty good shape? How? Could he have heart problems? There's no way. I was just lucky. I was lucky from the standpoint of we caught it soon enough. We caught it early enough. I had open heart surgery, and boy, did my life change. And I'm not talking about change from did my life change, because at that point, for those probably 16 weeks of recovery, this thing really puts some things in perspective. And if you really think, and I know we live in this society where that thing that's up there in a gymnasium that has lights on one side, or it's in a football field, or it's on a soccer field, and I know we take a lot of criticism and goods and everything by what number's on the left-hand side and what number's on the right-hand side. But you know what? It's not all about that. And I really think your community understands that. Your community understands that there's so much more to living life as whether you win it or whether you lose it. And I was one of the biggest competitors. And it's not saying that I stopped being a competitor. I just put things in a better perspective. Because I knew that I was fortunate. And I also knew that there were some people that were less fortunate. So therefore, have the opportunity like you guys do and give things back when you can. And it doesn't always have to be dollars and cents. It doesn't always have to be that. But having the ability to see a kid, whether they're speech, band, athlete, doesn't matter, in a grocery store, thanks for what you do. You see a teacher. I still can't figure this out. I was a teacher for 18 years. Everybody in their aunt and uncle wants their kid. I'm just generalizing. Everybody in their aunt and uncle wants their kid to be the best. But yet how some organizations, and we're not going to get into politics, but some organizations don't look at the real value that teachers do. The real value. Are there some bad ones? Absolutely. Are there some people that just got into teaching because they wanted a paycheck? Absolutely. I talked with some of them. But you can always tell those that had the passion in how they talk, in what they do, in regards to the value and making a difference to that individual. That's what it's all about. And if you have the ability to figure that out, I would hope, and I know sometimes you might think I'm a little boring because why is this important? If you figure this out at a young age, life's amazing for you. It's absolutely amazing for you. And remember this, I tell so many people that I talk to. We live in a society right now where a lot of people think that we are owed something. You know, well, our players, I'll give you an instant. My office door was always wide open. Anybody that want to come in, Coach! I want to be the leading scorer in the team this year. And if I can, I want to lead the Missouri Valley Conference in scoring. I want to do that. Coach, I know I can do this. I want to lead the league in rebounding. You know what I would do? I know you're going to get mad at me for what I'm about to do, but you know what I would do? Anybody know? Anybody know? I must not have had any of you in a camp situation or anything like that. Because this gets told almost every day when I coach. Talk to the hand. Talk to the hand. You know what it means? Talk to the hand. Hey, don't tell me what you want to do. Just show me. Just show me. You want to be the best? Then work to be the best. You want to lead the league in scoring? Every job that I've ever had, I haven't had that many, every job I had to have, my office had to be like 20 feet from the gymnasium, from the basketball court. So I could do that. That's the kid that has the chance. That's the kid that understands, I can get there. I can make it. I get this asked all the time. How do you get good? You know how you get good? You work at it. You practice it. Every day. Every day. And I know in our society right now we just have 40 different things that we have to do. And 39 of them are a waste of time. No, 38. I won't say 39. But you have to understand that. That's what we thrive for. We want to be the best, but yet we don't want to do what needs to be done. And I'll tell you what, we figured that out. My signature speech that I talk on is called Making Every Day Count. And I talk about getting your head off the pillow every morning. And someday I would love to come back and talk to you about this, but he's only given me about 2 hours. So we still got about an hour and a half to go. So we should be all right. But I talk about attitude, work ethic, passion. Those are the 3 things I talk about. And I talk about them pretty specific. You want to be the best? You got to work it. You got to have an attitude that is so positive. It drives you every day. It motivates you every day. Whether you want to say you want to be motivated to be the best or you're willing to work. If I'm willing to work, then I can't work if my work ethic isn't right. If my work ethic's right, you're in serious trouble. I used to tell our players, because I couldn't lie to them. Anybody remember, this is not negative, anybody remember how bad Northern Iowa was a long time ago? Ugly. Ugly. Had nothing to do with kids, had nothing to do with anything. They had just learned to lose. And the mentality was, well, nothing we can do, it's going to be that way. And I'll tell you what, and I don't take a lot of the credit for this, but that's one of the things that I'm so proud of at Northern Iowa, that we were able to change the face of women's basketball. I love telling this story. Again, it's going to shock you, but every day when I first came to Northern Iowa, I walk campus. I walk campus, I will talk with anybody that wants to listen. It's just the way I am. Nobody knew who I was in the first couple of months. I'm walking campus and I stopped a kid. I said, hey, you student here? Yes. I said, hey, you go to sporting events? Yeah, I go to sporting events. Do you go to women's basketball games? And he said, you know what, I don't. I don't go to any women's basketball games. I said, do you know much about the women's basketball team or anything like that? No, not really. The only thing I know is my roommate told me one time, if you got a big test coming up, it's one of the quietest places to go and study. It was true. It was true. He wasn't lying. He wasn't telling the story. It was true. It's exactly what it was. We had to change everything. We had to change everything. We had to change the mentality. And in life, that's one of the greatest feelings to be a part of. And, first of all, we had to recruit with smoke and mirrors, is that what they call it? Because we had to tell everybody, don't you repeat this. We had to tell everybody, it was so much fun to play basketball in the dome. What a horrible place to play basketball. Are you nuts? You're looking down there and you still can't see the end. And they kept the goalposts up there during the basketball season. So that was really good. But we had to tell them, And then we moved to the West Gym, which was a great move for us. But you have to understand, it was a little dated. It was very dated. But we found ways to make it work. And that's the same thing about your lives and our lives. You find ways, and that's the fun. That's the fun part of doing what we do. You have the chance to make a difference. And you guys are doing that in your community. How cool. How cool. And I know I've taken my time up, but I got to tell you a story, and I'm done. I'm done. And you ever need somebody to come back and juice you up, motivate you, get you excited, it's the one thing that I do really